Our story is one of reimagining. Reimagining who you can be, what you can achieve, and how CIMA can support you. As technology and digital platforms disrupt businesses, we are reimagining what the profession can be. We've updated our syllabus to meet the expectation of employers, ensuring CIMA-qualified professionals have the skills to make an impact from day one. Reimagine your career. Contact CIMA Sri Lanka.
Welcome to LMDtv. This week on Talking Business, Anushan Selvarajah speaks with the Managing Director of Ceylinco Life, Rajkumar Renganathan.
Welcome to LMDtv, Rajkumar. Good to have you with us. Now, the insurance sector is generally the first to know about the build-up of a global crisis now, because you all have your ear to the ground and pretty much keep a track of everything that goes on. Now, how did you react once the news of this pandemic came out?
When the COVID pandemic broke in China, it was the latter part of 2019, we watched it very carefully. We were also aware of the chaos that the SARS epidemic caused in Singapore. So we had a business continuity plan in place. We had to make some slight modifications and implement it. The pandemic has also introduced a new normal into the industry in terms of information technology. So that this has brought about greater degree of efficiency both among the sales force and the operations.
Now, with the rise of a global health crisis, Rajkumar, one would think the need for life insurance would have risen as well. Did you see this rise taking place?
Certainly, yes. We have seen a tremendous surge in new business during the months of June, July, August and September. Now, there are three reasons for this. The first is the increased awareness caused by the COVID pandemic and the increasing fatalities around the world. The next is that we have managed to increase our sales force. And finally, many families are home in the evenings, and so it is very much easier for us to discuss the need for life insurance.
Now, with the country trying to recover, at least economically, from this mess, how is Ceylinco stepping up to the plate?
In addition to increasing our levels of activity, we are using digital analytics to analyze our existing database, to look at additional source of canvassing business, like a second policy to an existing policyholder.
Rajkumar, the pandemic brought about a digital transformation for a number of industries. How was it for the insurance sector?
The online project was introduced a few years ago. We sell both life and retirement plans, but it was pretty slow. However, after the COVID pandemic, we have seen a substantial increase on customers seeking to buy life and retirement plans online.
We'll go in for a short break now. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the show as we continue our discussion with the Managing Director of Ceylinco Life, Rajkumar Renganathan. Rajkumar, let's just talk about the country's aging population. Now, according to numbers put out by the UN towards the end of 2019, within the next few decades, at least a fourth of Sri Lanka's population would be over 60. Now, do you think we are doing enough for this growing segment?
I don't think so. The first thing is, if you look at the current scenario, we are looking at a low interest rate scenario. Now let us remember that many pensioners are dependent on interest income to meet their daily needs. The lowering of interest rates without a proper retirement planning process is a road to disaster, because finally the elders will lean on government infrastructure to support them. So what I personally feel is that we must immediately focus and put into place a retirement planning process. Insurance companies are well geared to provide products for this purpose. I believe that there should be given tax incentives as well. Traditionally, Sri Lankans look after the elderly. However, this is becoming more and more difficult because migration both locally and internationally is taking place. And both members of a family have now to work to meet their day-to-day needs. However, we are aware of children who are looking to relocate their parents into a retirement resort, and there are many elders who are thinking of disposing of their properties and then moving into the resort.
Now, you've been in this industry for over 30 years. You've watched it grow from practically nothing to what it is today. What are the lessons learned over the years?
Personally, I feel that we must be focused on our business, especially the technical aspects. Growth, for the sake of growth, is once again a road to disaster. Further, the introduction of information technology will result in greater professionalism of the sales force and operations.
What sort of policy measures would you like to see brought in to assist the industry, provide better coverage for all our citizens?
I feel that new incentives must be given for additional channels of distribution, especially mobile insurance with due protection for customers.
What would be your outlook for the industry over the next year or so?
We have, as I mentioned to you earlier, seen substantial growths in the months of June, July, August and September. I expect this to continue towards the end of the year. However, one has to be very careful as to how the current economic policies will affect the disposable incomes of the citizens.
Well, that was quite succinct. Thank you very much, Rajkumar, for joining us on the show. It was a great pleasure.
You're welcome.
After a short break, Ashwini Vethakan will take you through a roundup of global news. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, I'm Ashwini Vethakan, and here's a roundup of global news. As of this week, the global COVID-19 patient count has gone above 40 million, with the number of recovered patients standing slightly over 30 million. In Italy, Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte has given mayors the power to shut down public squares from 9 p.m. to halt gatherings as he unveiled further measures on Sunday to curb a sharp rise in COVID-19 cases in the country. However, in Australia, officials are easing tight coronavirus restrictions in the state of Victoria after more than 100 days of lockdown. From Monday, people would be able to travel further and meet with others without a time limit on how much time they spend outside the home. But strict measures remain in place for restaurants and retailers, limiting them to takeaway and delivery options. According to one of the most influential businessmen in the Middle East, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulaim, who is the chairman and CEO of Dubai-based DP World, Israel's peace deals with the UAE and Bahrain are going to be big for businesses and trade in the region. He went on to say they will remove barriers to business links previously not allowed by shortening trade routes and making it easier to deal with Europe. Israeli estimates suggest trade with the UAE could eventually total $4 billion a year, creating 15,000 jobs, with many of the exports likely to be technology-based, including cybersecurity, as well as the latest innovations in medicine and agriculture. Asian markets opened higher on Monday, buoyed by hopes of a US fiscal package before next month and expectations of a coronavirus vaccine by the end of this year, though the mood was still cautious as infections rose. Meanwhile, in Tokyo, Toshiba aims to generate $3 billion in revenue from its advanced cryptographic technology for data protection by 2030. As the Japanese conglomerate scrambles to find future growth drivers, the cybersecurity technology called quantum key distribution, or QKD, leverages the nature of quantum physics to provide two remote parties with cryptographic keys that are immune to cyber attacks driven by quantum computers. The Indian government has warned Amazon's local unit and Walmart's Flipkart that sellers on their platforms are not complying to a rule that requires a product's country of origin be specified. A push for strict enforcement of the rule has come amid tensions between India and China following a border skirmish which began in June and is part of India's efforts to cut down on Chinese-made imports. And finally, in other news, Sri Lankan-born Vanushi Walters has been appointed the Upper Harbour MP in Northwest Auckland, taking over from retiring National MP Paula Bennett. That's all we have for you this week. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching and stay safe.